What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Mes amis français, bienvenue. Si vous êtes un nouveau mes français ici, là, dis-moi dans les commentaires. But anyway, let's go. We're going to get into this video. Stop saying the French are cowards in war. Don't underestimate the French military. Let's see what this video has to say, man. Because, you know, there's a stigma going around saying that the French are soft when it comes to war. Now, I don't know how true that is because I've never been in war with the French, but a lot of people had a lot of other countries say these things. So let's see what's going on in this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And yeah, let's go.
Any discussion of a nation's reputation in warfare will almost inevitably lead to derogatory remarks directed towards the French. Their military exploits are the punchline of countless jokes, memes, and other disparaging comments, lampooning them as cowards or inept on the battlefield. The reality, however, is much different. Throughout its long history, the French nation has had an extensive and distinguished record of military triumphs, dating back as far as the early Middle Ages. In actual fact, for millennia, French soldiers have fought and died with courage, skill, and distinction. The story of French military history begins in the wake of the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. The Franks, a Germanic tribe from further east, pushed westward into what is now France. And under the reign of King Clovis I, the land in the Pyrenees in the southwest, the Alps in the southeast, and the Rhine River in the east was also secured. Though these—
Hold on, I'm missing. Hold on. Where did they get pushed out from? Hold on.
Western Roman Empire. The Franks, a Germanic tribe from further east, pushed westward into what is now France. And under the reign of King Clovis I, the land in the Pyrenees in the southwest, the Alps in the southeast, and the Rhine River in the east was also secured. Though these borders would shift countless times over the intervening centuries, the rough area of French territory had been established. Clovis's descendant, Charles Martel, played an integral role in world history. In 732 AD, he and his Frankish army prevented the Arabo-Umayyad dynasty advance into France, inflicting a crushing defeat on their enemies at the Battle of Tours. With this victory, the ever-rising tide of Islamic expansion into Europe was halted. Throughout the Middle Ages, French forces fought in numerous wars against other European powers. Most extensive campaigns were against the English. During a series of conflicts now known as the 100 Years' War, the French would suffer significant defeats at several battles, including Crécy, Poitiers, and Agincourt, and would later see much of their land devastated by English raids. In spite of these setbacks, the latter portion of the conflict saw the French drive the English from their lands on the continent. As the Middle Ages gave way to the early modern era, the French army, under the reign of Louis XIV, became the largest and most powerful in Europe, almost 400,000 strong. This force pioneered many advancements in military innovation, including logistical and support systems, field hospitals, and the introduction of standardized uniforms to its soldiers. The French military record during the early modern era is mixed, with both victories and defeats, but no more so than any other contemporary nation. It was during the late 18th and early 19th centuries when the French reached their zenith of military strength. Under the leadership of Napoleon Bonaparte, French armies marched across Europe, smashing rival powers at the decisive battles such as Marengo and Austerlitz. Defeats were caused by weather and logistical issues, such as the campaign against Russia in 1812, or by superior enemy tactics, such as Napoleon's final defeat at Waterloo in 1815. During this time, the abilities or courage of the individual French soldier was never in doubt. A century later, French soldiers found themselves embroiled in one of their most tragic military campaigns. The First World War introduced mass slaughter on an industrial scale, and France found itself in the middle of the conflict, with the majority of the fighting on the Western Front taking place on French soil. Vast areas of the French countryside were transformed into a shell-cratered hellscape, one in which millions of men were trapped for years.
This dude here, he's really emphasizing on his... Let's go, let's keep going, man. This is a history lesson.
During this tumultuous time, French soldiers bore the brunt of the carnage, suffering titanic casualties. In the first 2 months of the war, over 300,000 French were killed, a number that would swell to 500,000 by the end of 1914. Hey guys, we've got an announcement. We've launched a Simple History Discord server. We'd love for you guys to just come over and drop by, join the community, talk about history. You can even give video suggestions. You can talk about past episodes. We have a few sneak peeks about future episodes, and get to know some of the community and the team behind Simple History. We're going to be there for a while, and we plan on big things for this server. So give us a few minutes of your time, come on by, say hi, and we'll see you there. There was no battle as bloody, or one which exemplified the tenacity and courage of France's military, than the Battle of Verdun. In 1916, German General Erich von Falkenhayn launched an offensive aimed at the city of Verdun. Allowing such a strategically and symbolically important location to fall into enemy hands was unacceptable to French high command, and under the direction of Marshal Philippe Pétain, Verdun was reinforced. Their battle cry at the onset of this fight was "On ne passe pas," or "They shall not pass." The battle devolved into a grinding stalemate, with both sides dug in, stubbornly refusing to surrender. Over 40 million artillery shells were fired during the fighting. By the end of the 303rd day, 162,000 French soldiers had lost their lives, with another 377,000 wounded, missing, or captured. True to their word, the French held their positions, and the Germans didn't pass those French positions. In the face of these and other monumental losses, the French military did in fact mutiny during the First World War. Strangely enough, however, they didn't lay down their arms. These men stayed in their trenches and continued to resist the Germans, but refused to participate in futile attacks against the heavily entrenched enemy positions. In the words of one group of mutineers, "You have nothing to fear. We are prepared to man the trenches. We will do our duty, and the Germans will not get through. But we will not take part in attacks which will result in nothing but useless casualties." Even when mutineering, French soldiers were still willing to lay down their lives for their nation. By the end of the war, over 1.5 million Frenchmen lay dead, with millions more wounded, though estimates vary. Roughly 18% of those who served in the ranks were killed, effectively wiping out a generation of young men. Yet in spite of these catastrophic losses, they still held firm against repeated enemy offensives. It was a generation later that France would earn its reputation as an inept military power, but this is far from the truth. After the outbreak of the Second World War, France and Britain declared war on Germany. After finishing off Poland, the Wehrmacht turned its attention west, breaking through the Low Countries and driving into France to circumvent the Maginot Line, a formidable series of defenses that ended at the Belgian border. The oversight by French high command, as well as advances in fast-moving maneuver warfare, caught the Allies off guard, and France was overrun in 6 weeks, an astonishing feat by any military standard. It was due to this fast capitulation that France gained an undeserved reputation as a nation of cowards with an incompetent military. This, however, is not a fair assessment. Other powers struggled against the German war machine, but had other advantages that France lacked. France didn't have the protection of the high seas enjoyed by Britain or the vast landmass of the Soviet Union, and were overrun in short order. Even when defeated, the French people still fought on, both in exile and as partisans. The French resistance played a vital role in frustrating German plans on the Western Front. Their sabotage, assassination, and intelligence-gathering operations were a key component in the success of the D-Day landings in 1944. To this day, the French resistance is seen as the symbolic representation of all resistance movements. After the Second World War, France was involved in many conflicts around the world, particularly in former colonies such as Indochina and Algeria. During the global war on terror, the French military provided support in the US-led invasion of Afghanistan. In addition, French air power effectively enforced no-fly zones over Libya, which allowed rebels to overthrow the dictator Muammar Gaddafi. French forces have also been at the forefront of anti-terror operations in other parts of Africa. They are currently the only NATO nation to participate in Operation Barkhane, which combated militants in West Africa. Currently, around 3,000 French soldiers are stationed in Chad, the Ivory Coast, Mali, and other nations. One of the reasons for France's poor reputation can be attributed to their methods in these low-intensity conflicts. While most other nations use a more flashy shock and awe approach to combating terrorism and insurgency, France employs a more subtle strategy. In 2007, in order to stop an incursion of rebel forces in the Central African Republic, France sent 2 waves of paratroopers and a single fighter jet to halt the advance. No more than a few dozen were involved, and the French press didn't pick up the story until weeks after. It's this precision approach that lacks the same fanfare of other nations, which helps contribute to the popular conception of France as lacking military ability. Throughout the long history of their nation, the French have had military successes and failures, but no more or less than any other nations. Their reputation as a nation of cowards who surrender at the slightest provocation is not only unfounded, but based on biases and misconceptions that don't take into account the countless acts of bravery and martial success of the French people.
Good history lesson. I don't think their military is cowards. Maybe in some instances they were undermanned or underarmed, undermanned, but they're not cowards, man. That is, coward men, you're not gonna fight. They've shown they fight. But why didn't they mention America helping France in the World War II? I know they said they did the resistance and it was able to help with the D-Day landings, the Doomsday landings. But America did come in and help a lot during World War II. Just wondering why he didn't really speak on that as much. But anyway, that's a good video. Let me know what you guys think, man. Mes amis français, dites-moi dans les commentaires qu'est-ce que vous pensez de cette vidéo. Merci beaucoup. And I'll see y'all in the next video.